Hi, welcome back to the Power of Model Drawing. We are going to look at Before and After Model Part 2 lesson. Alright, now in our lesson objectives, we are going to recognize the concept of Before and After, which we already have done so in the last lesson. And then we are going to recognize when the total is unchanged. And then after that, we are going to draw the model. Alright, so let's read the question and let's highlight. Okay, there are 94 apples in basket A and 33 apples in basket B. How many apples should you transfer or take out from basket A to basket B so that basket A has twice as many apples as basket B? So, is this a before and after? Yes, it is. So where's the before statement? How do you know where is the before? Now, 94 apples in A, 23 apples in B, that is the at first, alright, the before. Then where's the after, which is in the end? You have A has twice, right now A has twice as many as B. So that's the after. In between, what happened? You took out apples, or you transfer apples from A and you put into B. So that is the change, right? Okay, so why is the total unchanged? Alright, now let me give a very simple example. For example, if I have $10 and you have $3, okay? So I'm going to sidetrack and give you a simple example on why the total is unchanged. So I have $10, you have $3. So what is our total? Our total is 13, right? $13. And if I give you $2, so my money will become lesser, and you get $2 from me. So you will have $5 now. So you have more money. But what is our total? Our total is still the same, unchanged. So when there's internal transfer, or when somebody is giving to somebody else in the same problem, then the total is unchanged. So in this problem, you took out apples from A and you give to basket B. So the total is unchanged. Alright, now let's proceed to draw the model. And when you draw the model, you are drawing out sentence by sentence. So let's label, okay, before. So there are 94 apples in basket A. So you draw a long rectangle for basket A, and B will have a shorter rectangle. So make sure that you have a long and short. Don't draw two rectangles of the same length. And then you have 94 apples in A and 23 apples in B. Alright, that's the before. So how many apples should you take out from A and put into B? So that, right, it means that in the after, what's going to happen? So that basket A has twice as B. Okay, so we are going to draw the after model for A and B. So A rectangle, or the rectangle for basket A, will definitely be shorter now. Okay, so remember the dotted line, that's where you start to draw your rectangle. So I'm going to draw A, which is lesser than before. Right, you can see that A has now a shorter rectangle than before. Okay, and then B is going to have a longer rectangle than before because B received the apples from A. So it's going to be something like this. Okay. And then what happens? Then you see that basket A has twice as many, right? But if you try to cut the after model for basket A and you try to cut into twice, and then you call it 2 times or 2 units, and then basket B will have 1 time or 1 unit. Alright, 1 time or 1 unit, and you put down over here. It will look very weird because the units are not the same size. Alright, so do I need to erase and draw again? Well, we don't need to erase and draw again, right? Model drawing is creative, is flexible, so you don't always have to keep adjusting and erasing when you don't see something that is accurate, right? You can always adapt, right? You can always do something like this. Okay, let me show you. Alright, let me just draw again for basket B. Alright, now basket A has twice as many as basket B, right? So I don't have to draw again, erase and draw again. What I can do is I can put down 2 units, and then basket B will have 1 time, which is 1 unit, right? So that is also another way to put down your units. If you don't want to cut the boxes, right, or you find that when you cut the boxes, they don't look equal size, then you can put down 2 units and 1 unit into the model. Alright, now remember we said that the total is unchanged. So what do? We go and find the total. Alright, okay, but we forgot something. Right, we forgot to put the question mark. So how many apples must you take out from A and put into B? So are we able to put the question mark in the model? I think we can't do that. Right? How are you going to put the question mark for transferring. Alright, it's a little hard to put the question mark for transferring. Okay, if you can't put the question mark in the model, then we just leave out the question mark. Alright, so you don't have to force yourself to put down the question mark. Okay, if the total is unchanged, then can you find the total? So what's the total at first? Which is 94 plus 23, and you get 117. And whatever answers you found, whatever numbers you found, put it into the model. Alright, then how about the after model? What is the total? The total is 3 units. And if the total is unchanged, then your 3 unit will be equal to 117. So what do you mean by total unchanged? It means that the total at first and the total in the end is the same. Okay, so your 3 unit is 117. So now can you find 1 unit? So you take 117 and then divide by 3. And then you do your working on the right side. So, and you will get 39. And that's the purpose of model drawing, is to find 1 unit. Because once you can find 1 unit, you can solve the problem. Alright, so you want to find out how many apples you took out from A. So A has 94 apples at first already. So how many apples in A in the end, which is 2 units. Alright, so 2 units will be equal to 39 and then times 2. And you get 78. And whatever numbers you found, put it into the model. Alright, so now can you see how many apples should you take out from A? So you have 94 apples in A at first, and after taking out some apples, you have 78 apples in the end in basket A. So you must have taken out your minus. Right, so you have taken out how many? So 94 minus 78. And you have taken out 16. Alright, how do you have a quick check whether is your answer correct? If you have taken out 16 from A and put into B, then B should have 16 more. Am I correct? Okay, so let's look at B. B has 23 at first, and you put 16 apples into B. So you plus 16, and you will get 39. And whatever numbers you found, you put it into the model. So B has 39 in the end, and that is your 1 unit. So is your 1 unit 39 as well? Yes. And you solve the problem. Alright, that's how you check the answer. Alright, so A and S. So your answer is, how many apples do you take out from A and put into B? Your answer is 16. Okay, so that's how you draw the before and after model for total unchanged. Alright, let's go to example number 2. Now, Anne has 83 carnations and Cindy has 65 carnations. How many carnations should Cindy give to Anne so that Anne has 3 times or twice as many as Cindy? So before and after, right? So where's the before? Anne has 83, Cindy has 65. That is the at first. Where's the after? Anne has 3 times as many as Cindy in the end. That's the after. What happened in between? Cindy is going to give to Anne. Right? That is the in between. That's the change. Alright. And when somebody is giving to another person in the story, then the total is unchanged, right? So remember that. Alright, when there's internal transfer in the story, then total is unchanged. Alright, so let's draw the before model again. So before, and you draw 2person, and Cindy, and Anne has 83, Cindy has 65. Okay, so draw out the first sentence. So don't think about solving. All right. Many of the students they started their work by thinking about the steps on how to solve. But model drawing is not like that. You draw first, then you think, then you solve later. All right. You draw first, think about the drawing, and then you solve later by looking at the model. So how many carnations should Cindy give to Anne? So how are we going to draw the after? So Cindy is going to give to Anne. So which means that Cindy is going to have lesser, right? Anne is going to have more. Agree? So you're going to draw the rectangle for Anne, which is longer than before. So let me draw the dotted line. That's where we start to draw the rectangles. So Anne now has longer than before. Agree? And Cindy will now have lesser than before. So make sure you show the difference, right? If Cindy has lesser, you don't want to draw the rectangle for Cindy to be the same length as before, right? It has to be much shorter. Okay, and then Anne has 3 times in the end. Okay, well, if you look at if you want to cut, you might have a little problem because it looks not quite it doesn't look quite proportional. So if you feel that, okay, when you try to cut into 3 boxes, which is 3 times, it doesn't look very nice, you don't need to erase. All right. You don't have to what you don't have to what, or if you find that you have difficulty cutting into 3 boxes or they don't look nice, what do? You can always do something like this. Okay, let me just adjust the model a bit nicer. Okay, let me just make it nicer, tidy up the model. So if you find that when you cut into 3 boxes they are not proportional or they don't look proportional, you just put the 3 unit inside. Okay, later for harder problems, right, for more complex drawing, you may have to do that, right? Because once you start cutting into 3 boxes, you actually limit yourself, right? You actually limit your drawing, because if you want to do some more cutting later on, or if you want to put some more things into the model, you find that you can't do that because you have 3 boxes cut already. Okay, so it all depends on the problem. So do I cut or do I don't cut? Well, if you think the model is a bit hard to draw, or if you think that there's a lot of drawing going on, then you don't want to start cutting into 3 boxes. Okay, all right. So and then this will be 1 unit. So Cindy has 1 time. Okay, 1 unit. All right. So where do we put the question mark? Again, we can't put the question mark because how many carnations should Cindy give away? So where are you going to put the question mark? Well, actually you can, if you want, you can do that. If you look carefully, Cindy has so many at first, and now he has so many in the end. So your question mark will be over here, right? Over here, which is to find how many she has given away. So you can actually put the question mark, okay? But if you find that you don't know where to put the question mark, don't worry, doesn't matter, all right? Because the question mark is to help you to see what are you finding. Okay, so if you can't put the question mark because the question is not so direct, then you can leave out the question mark. Okay, so what do we do next? All right, the model is done already. This is internal transfer and the total is unchanged. So therefore, what do? You find the total. So what's the total at first? You have 83 plus 65. And you will get 148 altogether at first, right? Okay, and then what's the total in the end? You count the units. Altogether, they have 4 units in the end. And if the total is unchanged, which means that your 4 unit is equal to 148, so your 1 unit is 148, and then divide by 4. Alright, so let's divide, and you will get 37. So your 1 unit is 37. And once you have solved the problem, can you find the question mark? Yes, I can. 1 unit is 37. Add on to your model, makes the model clearer. And now you can see that Cindy at first has 65. After giving to Anne, she now has 37. So how many did she give away? Minus. And she must have given away 28. Alright, how do you check whether 28 is the answer? Alright, it's quite easy. Now if 28 has been given to Anne, Anne has 83 at first. And then you plus 28. So how many will Anne have in the end? Anne will have 111. And you put that into your model. So N has 111 in the end. And what is 3 units? Okay, 3 units is 37 times 3. And you still get 111. So isn't that correct? So your N has given or Cindy has given how many? Cindy has given away the answer 28. And there you solve the problem. Alright? And let's put down, beside whatever answers you found, put it into the model. Alright, add on to your model. Makes the model looks nicer, more complete. Okay, so that's how you draw the before and after model, right, without having to refer to the problem. So if you're able to draw out the sentence, able to draw out the problem, you can find that the model will tell you what to do next. So which means that drawing comes first. You should always be drawing. Don't think about how to solve. Don't think about what are the steps that you are supposed to do. Go straight into the drawing, and then once you produce the model, then you can see that alright, the solving will come later on as you study the model. Okay, now let's go to practice problem, and I'm going to give you 5 to 10 minutes to work this out on your own. So pause the video now and you can start to solve it now. Alright, so have you solved the problem? Alright, let's read and let's highlight. Now, Mr. Ong has 120 stickers, Mrs. Ong has 90 stickers. How many stickers must Mr. Ong give to Mrs. Ong so that Mrs. Ong has 6 times as many as Mr. Ong? Alright, this is a before and after. Alright, I'm sure by now you know that it is a before and after. So if you know there's a before and after, the next thing to know is you have to ask yourself, what is the before? What statement is the before? Mr. Ong has 120, Mrs. Ong has 90. So that is the before. And then you need to recognize where is the after. Mrs. Ong has 6 times, Mr. Ong has 1 time, which is the after. And then what is the in between? The change. Mr. Ong is going to give to Mrs. Ong. So that is the change. Alright, so for harder problems, it's going to be something like this. You have to break down the problem into before, what is the before, and then what is the change, and then what is the after. Alright? Okay, and then of course, it's an internal transfer. Right, Mr. Ong is giving to Mrs. Ong in the same story, same problem, so the total is unchanged. Alright, so let's highlight or let's label. Okay, label the model and let's draw the model sentence by sentence. So Mr. Ong, okay, Mr. has 120 stickers. Right, draw a rectangle for him, and Mrs. Ong has lesser or 90 stickers. So draw a shorter rectangle for her, and you put down 120 and you put down 90. Alright, comparison model. Alright, how many stickers must Mr. Ong give to Mrs. Ong? Okay, so let's draw the after. Alright, and you have Mr. and you have Mrs. So you can see that Mrs. Ong is going to have 6 times as many as Mr. Ong. Alright, so what you can do is, well, you can also do something like this. Instead of drawing Mr. Ong first, we can start with Mrs. Ong, because you know that Mrs. Ong has 6 times as many. So you can draw a rectangle, and rectangle for Mrs. Ong, and then what do? Cut it into 6 boxes. Alright? Or you can just put 6 units inside. Up to you. Alright, so let's cut into 6 boxes. And alright, so Mrs. Ong has 6 times as many as Mr. Ong. So Mr. Ong has 1 time. So I give you another way to draw. Alright? So you can either put the 6 units inside, or you can cut it into 6 equal boxes. Alright, so the model is quite simple. So you can actually you can actually do this. Alright, cut it into 6 boxes or put the 6 units into the rectangle. Alright, now let's revise the model. Now Mr. Ong has given to Mrs. Ong. You can see that Mr. Ong has so many at first, and after giving away, he now has only lesser, much lesser, right, 1 time. And Mrs. Ong has so many at first, and now she has 6 times. If you look at the rectangle, you can see that it is 6 times, which is more, much more than before. Alright, and then where do you put the question mark? How many stickers must Mr. Ong give to Mrs. Ong? Well, you can actually put the question mark like this. But if you find that you don't quite know where to put the question mark or how to put the question mark, then just leave out the question mark. But over here, I can put the question mark like this. Okay, something like this. So it's very flexible. Model drawing is creative, right? As long as you don't mess up the drawing, you don't draw very untidily, right? It should be quite clear. It should be quite good for you to use it to solve. So how many stickers must Mr. Ong give away? Isn't that your question mark, right? Okay, now, so once you finish your drawing, what do? You can look at the model and use it to solve the problem. So once you have cut the model into equal boxes, alright, you can start calling them 1 unit. Okay, 1 unit each. Okay, and then what do you see? And then you can see that, what do you see? Now, and we know that the total is unchanged, right? So remember, internal transfer, when Mr. Ong is giving to Mrs. Ong, what happened? The total will still be the same. So which means that you find the total at first, and you also find the total in the end. Alright, so what's the total at first? Alright, so let's write down the steps. So 120 plus 90, that will give you the total at first, which is 210. Okay? And what is the total in the end? Count the units all together, and you will get 7 units altogether in the end. Right? And then what do? And then they are unchanged. So your 7 unit, which is the total in the end, is equal to total at first. And you can find 1 unit. So 210 divide by 7, and your 1 unit is 30. So are you able to solve the problem now? Able to find the question mark? Yes. Can I find how many does Mr. Ong have in the end, which is 1 unit, and that is 30. Add on to your model. Remember the arrow sign. So arrow sign is important. So you have to label the arrow sign or draw the arrow sign, and then you have to show what is the arrow sign pointing to. It's pointing to 30. Alright, 30. Alright, and then now can you find the question mark? So how do you find the question mark? So you take Mr. Ong has how many at first, which is 120, and then how many did he have in the end, which is 30, and then you minus, and you find that Mr. Ong has given away 90. Right, 90 to Mrs. Ong. Now, how do you check whether your answer is correct? Okay, Mrs. Ong has 90 at first. Can you see that? 90 at first. And he received 90 from Mr. Ong. So Mrs. Ong must have 180, correct? So which means that she must have 180 over here, right? So let's see whether is it 180 by using the units to help us to find. So Mrs. Ong have 6 units. And how many is 6 units? So you have 1 unit is 30, and then you times 6 and 180. See? And you can see that is correct. So you have found the answer and put down the answer beside the question mark, right? And then you put the ANS 90. So that's how you draw the before and after model, total unchanged. So when is the total unchanged? When you see internal transfer. And what is internal transfer? When somebody is giving to somebody else in the story, in the problem. Alright? Okay, now the next lesson we are going to continue with before and after. And then very soon, right? Very soon we will move on to Primary 4 model drawing. Alright? So I will see you in the next lesson.